everybody. A warm welcome to Wisdom from North. My name is Jannike, and I'm now in beautiful Sedona on my Wisdom from North tour around the US. And I'm currently at the Atlantis Gallery with Bryan de Flores. Now, Bryan experienced a dramatic shift in consciousness on December 4th, 1996, which led him to completely change his lifestyle and his work. Now, he says that he had an extraterrestrial contact where he received his galactic mission and that his artistic talents were activated. Now, since then, Bryan has created over 13,000 transformational templates. Now, these drawings are multidimensional images that are meant to connect humanity to new streams of consciousness. And we will especially talk about these today. Now, Bryan, much welcome to Wisdom from North. How are you doing?
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure. And before we go into the work, and we're actually going to show some of these drawings that I was talking about now in this video. But before we go into that, can you explain how this all started? Because you just told me that you were a truck driver before 1996.
Yes, amazing as it sounds. Well, I started off, I have had a normal life, like many of your listeners here. And, on December 4th of 1996, when the Hale-Bopp comet was coming into our system, it awakened a lot of people, and I was one of those people. And so I was a truck driver for a living. I had various odd jobs as well. And I got in the truck. I drove a 57-foot tractor trailer, and I got in the truck one morning, and I started driving, and I blacked out. And the truck kept going. I was driving about 100 miles, but everything turned to Egypt, the whole truck and all the scenery outside turned to Egypt, and I was on top of a pyramid. Wow. I saw myself on top of a pyramid, and I had about 100 pounds of solid gold on my body, and my hand was out in front of me, and there was a crystal scepter that was levitating and spinning out in front of my hand.
Wow.
Well, you can imagine, I was raised Catholic, and my parents never told me about this, or they never told me about motherships or ascended masters. And so I saw probably about 20 past lives that I had had in Egypt, and then I woke up in the truck, and I had driven 100 miles, but I don't remember doing that. So I tried to back the truck in. It's a job backing a 57-foot tractor trailer into a loading dock, and I couldn't do it. And I felt like something was happening with my body, and I felt like I'm just not going to come to work tomorrow. I've been working there for about 9.5 years, and so I went home, and I went straight for the bottle of tequila, of course.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, so I went straight for the bottle of tequila, and I was hearing noises in my head. I was hearing voices and sounds. And then I went to bed, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, and there were 3 people in my room. Well, they were beings. There was a Pleiadian woman and two men from Sirius. They were extraterrestrial humans. And they told me that my current mission was over. And when I saw them, they looked different than we do. They looked more perfect and a little bit odd. Okay. But I didn't think anything was wrong. That was the funny thing about it. I didn't think, oh, I'm scared or anything like that. I thought, oh, I want to go with them. That was my first thought. Because when you see extraterrestrials, that's your first thought. You want to go with them. Because you realize that you're like, oh, no, I'm on Earth. Because Earth is a difficult place. It's very challenging. It's like a bad camping trip, I say.
Okay.
So then they told me that they'd like to extend my mission, and that I was an artist on other planets, and they were going to help me download these memories and programs of art. And so the next day I started drawing, and I didn't go back to work.
So where did these star beings go after that? Did they evaporate? Did they go into a ship?
Yes, they went onto a ship, but it was almost, I saw a mist and then they were gone, okay. But then other beings showed up. I was actually contacted over about six hours by angels, an archangel as well, and other extraterrestrials, the Ashtar Command and the Federation. And so they told me that I was linked to the Phoenix Lights ship. You know, did you hear about
Yes.
that? I was actually one of the crew members on that ship, and that what happened to me was I had a higher self overlay from that ship. So the aspect of myself on the ship is in stasis now, and that overlay is here on this body known as Bryan.
I mean, this is very amazing to hear, and I have to ask the question, did you think at a point that you were crazy, you know? Like having not seen anything like that, and all of a sudden, the reality just shifts.
No, I didn't think I was crazy. I actually was ready for life change. I think in my destiny chart within me, and we all have them, that I was ready for a change. I'd been working nonstop since I was 6 years old. I was doing paper routes when I was 6 years old, and I was ready for a change. And in my mind, when this happened, I was just open to it, and I felt good about it, and I knew that this was meant to be. So I just followed it. Even though I didn't know what I was doing at first, I just kept doing it. Yeah.
Wow.
And when the drawings kept coming through, that just kind of kept me going, kept me passionate.
Yeah, let's talk about the drawings because we're going to show some drawings here. But
Okay.
what are these drawings? What do they do and how do you draw them?
Well, and initially there was, again, I've been an artist on 63 other planets.
Okay.
Antares, Alpha Centauri, Lyra, Aldebaran, Andorian, and many other planets. So I've actually been an artist before, as many people have been musicians before on other planets, or writers, or artists. I have as well. So initially, the extraterrestrial emissaries of light wanted to create a set of images that would trigger people's consciousness into remembering and upgrading their mental bodies. So I went through a number of different types of images and then came through what they called accelerators. So the accelerators come through in about, well, from start to finish, they're very large, in about 5 minutes. And I have 7 pencils in one hand and a gold and a silver metallic marker in another, and my hands are just moving very quickly, and then the picture is finished in 5 minutes. So I can do about 10 an hour. And so I have about 13,000 of them now since 1996.
Wow. And what happens to you when you look at them, or how should we approach them?
Well, it's a trigger. It's a memory trigger, and those of them that you're drawn to, that you resonate with, are actually giving you some energy and helping you to remember what your destiny is, where you're from, what planet you're from, your galactic family, and what you're doing here on Earth. So they trigger all those memories, and some people, they trigger them slowly. Other people, immediately when they see them, they feel like a jolt of energy because it's triggering all their galactic seals and their whole blueprint when they look at them.
Okay, so should we start talking about some of the pictures now?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So the first one we're going to show is...
Template of understanding.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a very intense image, and when I started drawing, I just was bringing through, I see the images come through me. I can see them invisible in my mind, and then I can feel them coming through my hands, and then when I draw them, they're on paper. So the template of understanding came through. Initially, I didn't know what it was because I never heard of sacred geometry. I didn't even know what crystals were or anything like that. I was totally new in 1996. So about 5 days after I awakened, I drew this image, the template of understanding, and it was a very complex, what they call sacred geometry. And it's actually living. It's not, you'll see it on the paper as like a piece of art, a flat piece of art, but it's actually alive. And when you look at it, it triggers your DNA to upgrade. That's what it does. It triggers your 12 strands of DNA to reassemble more quickly so that you have more memory. It triggers super brain power.
Should we close our eyes when, or like meditate and just have it there, or should we?
Sometimes, if you'd like to, different people assimilate things differently. Some people are very emotionally based. Some people are visually based, like I am, of course. Some people are mental. So people assimilate things differently in different ways. So using the images. Some people sit and they put one on their lap and they meditate with it and they look at it. Other people will look at it and then close their eyes. It just has to be within a foot of your body and it starts to trigger the energy. So they're actually living geometries, living images.
Okay. So let's move on to the next one here.
Okay, that's the money magnet, which is a very powerful image, and it's very popular. People buy a lot of them. So the money magnet came about. The Pleiadians actually brought that one through. I have different extraterrestrial groups that bring certain images through. And because people, especially light workers, have a lot of great ideas, and they don't have the money to make them manifest. So I have a few different accelerators for people who need the money to finance their projects, or just need money in general, because this planet is very expensive. It's the most expensive planet I've ever lived on. So you have to pay for water and electricity. So people do need money to live, and a lot of people, the governmental systems and all of that, people have a hard time with money. So that's what that does, is it draws money into your energy field.
Okay.
Yep, and you can just put that on the wall somewhere where, in the kitchen or somewhere where you pass it all the time, and it will just trigger you and it'll keep that money energy in your field.
Okay, so it's all about attracting that
Attracting
kind of
money,
energy.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the third one.
Okay, is blue starfire. Mm-hmm. Well, this one was really interesting. This was brought through by the Galactic Federation, and this is actually an image that's kind of mysterious in a way. There's a substance that the extraterrestrials they call it blue starfire, and it's a mysterious substance that shows up in the universe. They don't know where it comes from, but it's present at the birth of children, birth of babies, or if you're writing a book, the initial inspiration that you get has blue starfire in it. So it's a star essence or a star power that travels with things people are birthing and creative processes. So anybody who wants to write a book or wants to play the violin or wants to create a piece of art and they don't really know where to start can meditate on this image, and it actually brings them that blue starfire, and they get the inspiration, and so they get passionate about whatever project they're working on.
Beautiful.
Okay?
Okay.
That's good?
Yeah.
Next one is mission accomplished. Okay? This one came through, I think, in maybe 2003. And the images in my catalog and on my website are kind of all mixed up. I created them at different times, but you'd never know it. They all kind of mix together. And this one is, there's a goal for each person on the planet. Each person has a mission and a destiny. But the planet itself, as a collective, we have a united destiny as light workers together. And this image just helps people to be strong in their mission. It helps the elements of their destiny to come in their mission, so they're passionate, so they're happy, because the spiritual hierarchy wants people to be happy down here, and they want people to fulfill their mission, because together it's like a big symphony of missions down here, and if everybody's doing their mission, it's like a big, beautiful orchestration of music down here. So that's what that's for.
Yeah,
Okay?
Important one.
Yes, very important, yes. Yes.
So it can actually help you find your purpose as well? Or?
That one can help you find your purpose as well, yes. I think all the images lead people toward their purpose.
Okay.
And a lot of the time when I'm telling you about these images, if you're getting something different when you look at it, that's fine.
Okay.
Go with that, because the images have multiple definitions. So if a person's coming from the Pleiades, they might view it a little bit different. A person's coming from the angelic realms, they'll view it a little bit different.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and we have the fifth one, I think.
Is science of the celestial bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that one is actually part of a 72-piece geometry that the hierarchy calls the Christ grid. It's the sacred geometry of Christ. It runs through the planet. It's a geometric configuration or a bridge that runs from the Cheops Pyramid to Tahiti. And it's a geometric grid, and I actually drew the whole grid. And it's 72 separate pieces of art that fit together like a puzzle. And this Science of the Celestial Bodies is, I think, number 12 in line in the puzzle. And so what that does, each of them does something different, but it connects you with the heavens, connects you with astronomy and astrology and all of the new sciences as well that are coming in, because astrology is changing, the astronomy is changing, everything's kind of transferring over to a higher format. And so it connects you with the heavens, because a lot of people down here, including myself for a long time, lost connection with stargazing, looking up at the stars. People should do that more, because that helps as well. That's like having an accelerator as well.
Really?
Looking at the stars, it brings that energy down to Earth, and we're kind of focused down here a lot of the time, but we should look up into the heavens.
But that's important and beautiful, because I was thinking, people who don't have the financial ability to buy, pictures like this,
Right.
You can get it from actually nature as well. And that's probably why we are so drawn to look up at the stars,
Yes.
probably.
Yes, and a lot of people, they'll meditate on the accelerators, and then 2 days later, they'll walk out and they're in the stars. The one they were looking at is actually in the stars. That's been reported a number of times. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about where we're going with this planet? Because we're moving into being a star, aren't we?
Yes. This planet is in the process of being, is changing over into a star. So all the stars that you see in the sky were once planets. And this planet's doing what they call an ascension. That's the process. So there's 3 other planets outside of our galaxy that are ascending just like ours right now. It happens all the time. Okay. So there's planets all over the universe that are ascending right now. We're moving from the 3rd through the 4th into the 5th dimension. And some people will go on to the 6th and 7th dimensions. There's a lot of things going on. Anything specific you want to know about?
I'm just wondering what does it
Timelines
imply that we go into the 5th dimension? What will happen to us as reality as we know it?
Well, I look at it as, say, a weed will become a beautiful flower. A rock will turn into a gemstone. A tree will turn into an even larger, more beautiful tree. Okay. Our bodies are changing from a water-based system into a light-based system. So we're all going to look like we're about 27, but we'll retain all of our Akashic wisdom from all former lifetimes, and we'll live thousands of years. And so as the planet turns into a star, everyone will experience this.
Is this the way the star beings are living on the Pleiadians, for example, that they have that kind of
yes.
living? Yeah.
Yes, they did the same thing. They did it about 6,000 years ago. Their planet transitioned, and they went into high space travel technology at that time. So now they're, Billy Meyer from
I've heard of him.
Switzerland, yeah. He was contacted by the Pleiadians, and they told him all about their process and everything they're doing. But yes, they, like the Andromedans, they're actually 6-dimensional, so they've moved up into the 6th dimension, where they don't actually have physical bodies anymore. But we're not moving into light. We're not going to look like a light. We're still going to look physical, but we're light. And our skin looks very beautiful. There's a radiation of light through the skin and through the eyes. The eyes are very beautiful. Everything, we look ageless.
So when is this going to happen? Will it happen in our lifetime?
Yes, it's going to happen in our lifetime. They said the transition takes place between 2012 2017. And 2017, the planet goes into another mode. So before 2017, when everyone's doing their mission, that creates a bigger light energy field, and the planet transforms at that time. The 2012 prophecy was actually off a little bit.
Okay.
That was actually, the Mayan calendar was reprogrammed by the galactic forces and by human groups as well, because the planet is not fully ready to make an ascension because the karma is not complete yet in certain countries like Iraq and Iran.
It doesn't look good.
No.
No.
And although everything doesn't look good, it's happening.
Okay.
And that's why everything looks very challenging, because the ascension is happening.
Oh.
And we're in what they call tribulation phase, which is where everything looks really kind of frightening and scary to some people, but it's not really. The ascension's actually happening, and that tells us that it is.
And I understood that you have like kind of downloads in the morning. I heard that.
Yes.
And you were saying that it looks much better now than it used to do. We don't have problems with like reptilians and the greys anymore. And I've interviewed some other people who have talked about the greys, but you don't talk much about them. So can
I
you?
know them, yes.
Yeah?
I mean, I'm a member of the Federation. I actually am commander of one of the starships, so I am a commander on a starship half the time, and then I'm Bryan the other half of the time. So when Bryan goes to sleep at night, and this is for many other people too, they may not know it, we go up to council meetings and starships when we go to sleep, and then we wake up, and then all of a sudden we're ourselves again.
Wow.
But I know them. I've had dealings with the Greys and the Reptilians and the Mantis people and all of them in this lifetime. I've had attempted abductions and all of that, but they're not here anymore. The planet's vibration is too high, and they can't come in. All of those dark portals have been sealed.
Yeah, so they had sort of dark intentions.
Yes.
The Greys, yeah.
Well, they think that we're not taking care of the planet in a way, some of the races, and they think that that they own the planet. Well, the reptilians have been here a lot longer than we have. They live in the center of the planet, and they think it's their planet. So naturally, I mean, they think that we should leave and that they could take over. So, but there's a number of takeover scenarios that they've tried over the years, but they haven't really worked.
Okay.
So
how can we prepare for this ascension these days? What can we do?
well, just everyone needs to focus on their mission.
Okay.
That's in my opinion. There's a lot of people who are doing light work, which is fantastic, but finding out what your own unique mission is and creating that mission in the biggest way with the help of the angels and the hierarchy is most important, because, again, it creates an orchestration of light. It creates a symphony of destinies that uplift the planet. And so if you're doing somebody else's work, like you took a healing class, okay, so you're doing that healing technique, but it's not necessarily yours. Your destiny is much more original and very different and very magnificent. And everyone's destiny is beautiful and majestic and massive, and it's very beautiful. I do destiny readings as well.
Okay.
And each person does destiny. Destiny is different. Some people are artists. Some people are in the communications field. So they work, they interview other people, they're on television, and that's their destiny. Other people work with animals. And finding out what your unique destiny is very important.
But I know a lot of people are frustrated because they can't find it. Would it help maybe to ask the angels? I mean, if you don't
yes.
have abilities like you know,
Yes.
to get them, how can we get them to help us?
Well, the thing is that everyone has abilities like me. They just haven't developed them or downloaded programs like I did. So say we meet someone and they don't seem to be doing anything spectacular, and they're wondering what their destiny is, and they were maybe they were a singer or a musician in a former life. Well, what we do is we help people to download those programs, bring them from the subconscious, and so they can remember how to do those things in this lifetime. And and whatever you want to do is part of your destiny too. Whatever you're passionate about, if you like working with children, or or agriculture, the whole ecosystem. There's so many different destinies, and they're really incredible. You know, when you find your unique one and you find your niche, and then you work with the angels or the ascended masters or the Ashtar command, they'll help you to really fill that destiny out and make it really incredible.
So I guess you have to be a little bit courageous to actually
Oh,
go
yes.
for what you want to do, and then you'll get the help, you're saying, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you just have to, if you have a job and it's prohibiting you from getting your destiny, you want to ask the angels to help you, help wean you off of the job, to help get you kind of away from that, maybe even part-time, so you can do your destiny part-time. I mean, it's some people's destiny to be a culinary artist, food. They're a cook, but they're cooking at a higher level. So if you watch any of the cooking shows on television, some of them are doing their destiny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes,
We
it-
all have,
we
our
all
specifics.
have we all have our own. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We all have our own specific niche, but also you can do other things with your destiny as well. You can be an artist, but you can also be a musician, because I'm an artist, but they also have me doing music now. So you
Yeah.
can branch out into other areas. But finding what your initial mission is really important. And just asking the angels, asking your guardian angel, asking the Ashtar Command, whoever you work with, they'll help you to find it. Within a matter of, I would say, a month or so, you'll kind of know where you're going. I think people have gotten away from meditation as well. And I think meditation is important too, some type, because the meditation really brings that in, really brings in the elements of your destiny. And you want to write down, when you're in meditation, after the meditation, you write down certain things, and then after about a month, you have your destiny there.
Beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Now let's talk about the language of light. That sounds so beautiful, and it looks so beautiful. What is that?
The language of light. Well, when my interpretation of it, when I began drawing, on my first drawing there were these symbols, and so I just kept drawing the symbols, and then they started with each drawing. Sometimes they were a little bit different, and what I found out is it was called the language of light, and these are different languages that actually come through from the angel realms. I actually, one of the most prevalent languages that I bring through is the language of the angels, which is very ancient. A form of that was actually Aramaic on this planet. But the language of the angels is actually all of the languages of Earth now. If you put them together, that would be the language of the angels. So it's very lyrical. It looks like music when you write it. And they come through, there's a lot of different types of language that come through. There's dolphin clicking as well, which is a language. Each of the animals has their language. But we all recognize it. And I think that even scientists and researchers who've come to my presentations, they look at all my images and they say, oh, those are very nice, but I'm interested in the language of light. So there's something about that. It's a universal kind of a mathematical thing where they think, oh, something's going on here. And it doesn't matter if they're not interested in spirit at all. They like the language of light, and they ask me, what is that? There's something happening to me with that. So I brought through about 127 different languages from other planets and from the angelic realms, and also the ascended masters speak a telepathic form of the language of light. And I understand it when I write it. I can understand it. And also people speak it, and they sign it with their hands.
Can you speak it as well?
No, I can draw it, and I can
Okay.
sign it with my hands. But I have a lot of friends who can speak it.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this connected to Atlantis in a way
Oh,
as
yes. Yes, absolutely. It goes further back than Atlantis.
Okay.
We were all actually in Atlantis together. All of the light workers, the awakened people on this planet, the 144,000 plus, we were actually all in Egypt together. And before that, we were in Atlantis together. And before that, we were on another planet. And so we've kind of all traveled together and known each other. And so we're kind of just getting to know each other again down here, which is going to help the planet to ascend. But in Atlantis, there was a language, and it was when people opened their mouths to speak it, it was like 7 voices coming through their own voice. It was like kind of like angels. So you would speak, and it would be like, whoa. It was very interesting, and it was called, that language was called the Viril language. And there was 5 different versions of Atlantis, the Ascended Masters say. So I was present during 3 of them, and the last version of Atlantis, when Atlantis fell and all of that, the destruction, some people remember that, but I don't, because I wasn't there at that time. I was there when Atlantis was a great civilization.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to ask the big question, because I'm kind of getting curious now. Where are we going when we die? Like when,
Okay.
the body dies. I was always thinking that we go to this other dimension, like heaven.
Yes.
But now I'm unsure. Do we just go to another planet or something?
Well, yes, there's different interpretations of that. I think, in my understanding, what happens when people are transitioning in the planet right now, they're actually going to a new planet, and it is like heaven. And the Ashtar Command calls...
Yeah, who are they?
Ashtar Command calls them the orientation team. So the Ashtar Command is basically a branch of the Federation. They're the airborne division of the Federation. And the Ashtar Command, most of the members of the Ashtar Command are actually in physical embodiment right now. They're here in human bodies.
Oh.
There's some running the ships up there, but we're actually, most of the time, we're in human bodies down here. And so this new planet, parents and loved ones, pets who've crossed over in the last 50 years, they're all going to the new planet. And they're all very happy. They have new bodies. They're very happy, and they're waiting for us. We're actually, our ascension, as we ascend, we meet them again. So it's actually a very beautiful experience. When the body dies here on planet Earth, it's not a bad thing. It's just a transition phase, because all souls are alive. We're physical in this dimension, some souls are not.
So the Ashtar Command is a federation, but what is a federation? I'm confused.
The Federation, well, some people call it the Galactic Federation, or the Federation of Light. Doesn't matter, both terms are appropriate. And there are galactic brothers and sisters. This is a confederation of beings from many different planets, and every planet has representation in the Federation. So every planet in this universe, which is very vast, and there's 12 universes. So the other universes that we haven't even connected with yet have federations as well. So there's councils of beings. You've heard of the Council of 7 or the Council of 12 from Andromeda, or the Pleiadian councils. Those councils are actually part of the Federation of Planets, or the United Federation of Worlds. It's been called a lot of things, but these are the extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. Some of them look like us. They're human. They're very beautiful. They're incredibly beautiful. They're very tall. Some of them are not human as well. So you see beings within the Federation that are the Zeta Reticuli, which a lot of people are afraid of. They call them the Greys. But there are actually good representation from their field as well. There's actually positive reptilians, which they call the Alpha Draconians. They're the royal line, and they're actually positive as well. They've been shown on the show Stargate. So there are a lot of troublemakers, like on planet Earth.
Like humans?
Like humans.
Yeah.
But there's troublemakers off planet as well.
Okay.
So there's good and bad in every race.
Okay.
And so the Federation is a composite of all of the positive beings, and they work for the upliftment of each planet. And like our planet, they're all here right now. There's actually over 4 million ships around this planet in other dimensions, helping this planet to ascend.
And they're walking among us. Like how many are
A lot
they?
of them are walking among us, yes. There's probably over 6 million extraterrestrial beings on Earth right now walking around. The Pleiadians look like us, so they don't actually have to change their form. The other beings who don't look like us have to take a human form. The Pleiadians look so much like us that you wouldn't know. And everyone has met one. They're all over the planet.
Really?
They're in the government. They're in the hospitals. They're working in the hospitals. They're working in corporate business. They're working in New York City, in Paris, and Canada, and Australia. They're everywhere. And they don't always identify themselves, but there's something about them.
Yeah, there is.
There's
that you can
something
see?
about them that you can see that is a little bit different.
Their eyes? Or?
Their eyes sometimes their earlobes are very different.
Okay.
And you'll say, that person is very strange. They're actually from another planet. They're working all over the planet now.
To help us.
Yes. There's actually 3 million Ashtar Command ambassadors down here right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm one of them.
Wow.
Yes. It's an exciting time. It's kind of the best of times and the worst of times, because you can look around, you can listen to the news, and you can hear all the things that are going on in the news. But on the other hand, it's very good.
Yeah.
Everything's happening.
So they have showed themselves physically with their ships sometimes, but you're saying that most of them are in other dimensions.
Yes.
I guess they are showing themselves in order for us to know that they're here, in a way?
Yes.
Because if there are so many around us, they could, walk up to us and say, I'm from the Pleiadians.
Right, right.
Why don't they do
They
that?
can't do that. There's a non-interference clause. And they actually can't do that, or they will violate that no interference clause. And they're part of the Federation, and the Federation has to follow the universal laws, and that's one of them.
Okay.
So if they say that, they violate our free will. And who knows what's going to happen if they say that to you.
Right.
I had a contract with them, so that's why I had that experience with them. But they won't usually do that with other people, because sometimes it actually messes the person up a little bit in different ways, and they don't want to violate that and take that chance.
Right.
So they're waiting for the people to awaken themselves. So again, back to the missions, if everybody's doing their mission that they're here to do, and you can go to a psychic and ask them, what's my destiny? You can also do that. You may not get a lot of information, but you may get a little nugget of information, a little pearl of information that is worth it. So people like to go to some psychics. They can go to a psychic and say, hey, what's my destiny? And the psychic might tell them just a little bit, or might tell them a lot. So that's beneficial too.
And then the crop circles is, I assume, their intention with that is to wake us up and to know that there's something else.
Yes, it's also, well, it's twofold. It's to wake us up, yes, but it's also to balance the planet.
Oh.
Because there's been so much oil and minerals taken out of the planet, acupuncturing the planet, that what they've had to do is put balancers on the planet, so their crop circles serve two purposes, but one of them is to balance the planet. So when they imprint it on the planet, it balances the whole ecosystem here.
Wonderful.
So the planet won't go into a pole shift.
Okay.
And the Ashtar Command actually does that. The Ashtar Command actually has light pins of light that are laser beams through the planet right now that are holding the planet to prevent the planet from going into a pole shift before the Ascension.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to be afraid of?
No.
No.
No. But yeah, look at everything very positively. That's my mission, is to be able to look at even the most dire challenge or issue and be able to explain it to people in a very positive way. There is nothing to be afraid of. It's all positive, but in the interim there are karmic experiences happening on the planet, like wars and all of that, that are finishing. Those are coming to an end. And when those come to an end, the planet turns into a star.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too.
Thank you so much, Bryan. This was wonderful.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening, guys. See you
Thanks
soon.
for having me. Bye.
Bye.